Most people don't know what's holding them back, but you do because you listen to me, Sam, your self-care guru and journal junkie. Welcome to Journal Entries, your safe place where you can tune in weekly to get tips, tricks, and journal prompts to uncover your feelings, gain clarity, and make your move. Hello, welcome to this week's journal entry. I am going to get vulnerable with you this week and share something that was so profound and so simple, and I think that it's going to help you have a breakthrough if you've been feeling stuck and frustrated because you know that you're in this state of feeling stuck. You know you want to get out of it, and you've been trying to get out of it, and you just can't. I was listening to something, and this one line, this one sentence, immediately, it was just like this light bulb went off in my head. And I've been able to feel this huge shift internally and actually do the damn thing and get through it. So first, I'm going to share with you how I've been struggling and then get into what I listen to that is going to help you hopefully as well. I have had so many goals for my business and so many creative ideas and ways to achieve those goals keep coming to me, which is great. However, within each of those creative ways, I have a handful of tasks that feel like they need to be done consistently to get to this goal. So just lots of things going on in my head right now. For example, consistently posting on social media, consistent podcast episodes, and sending out consistent emails. All of these tasks, especially doing them consistently, allow me to add value to you, right? It allows me to add value to my audience, to reach new people, hopefully, and to let them know about ways that we can work together and to have a bigger impact on their lives. To let them know, like, journaling is more than just a nice positive habit to start your day. It can have a true emotional transformation for you. But all of that feels like a lot of pressure. Even though it might seem like an email or a post or a podcast episode, it feels like a lot of pressure. So while it might come off that I am consistent, there is a lot of thought and procrastination behind the scenes. For example, I have a document, because I do try and be really organized. I have a document where I try to plan out all of my podcast episodes or topics ahead of time. For the whole month is the goal. And I came up with topics for each week in July. This was the first month actually that I came up with an episode title or topic for each week. However, the week would come and I'd look at the topic, and when I would go to record them, they just don't feel aligned and nothing like comes to me to say. So I just sit there and I twirl my thumbs thinking about what else I could talk about, and nothing comes to me. And literally, I air my episodes on Tuesday mornings at 5 a.m. So I'm just all week long. I know that this is a task on my list, and I end up recording something on Friday, sometimes on Saturdays if I can get somebody to watch Griffin. And it just all feels very last minute, and it's not how I want my podcast to feel. I do post in my stories daily as well. Mostly daily, I should say. And I post in my feed on Instagram and Facebook a few times a week. If you're on my email list, I do usually email at least once a week. But that too, all of that feels very last minute and rush and kind of like I need to post something, like let me just share this. It all just feels messy. It feels like thrown together because, again, all these tasks have been on my list. I see it. It says, Sam, do this today, do this today, do this today. They've been on my list for so long, yet I build up so much pressure around the outcome of each podcast episode, around the outcome of each email, around each post, around each story that I put up. The outcome being getting more awareness of how good you can feel with journaling. That's really important to me. I want you to try journaling and witness how different you can feel when you journal effectively. Also, the outcome being more sales for my business and for my programs, and expanding my reach, getting more people to experience this. I'm going to say that again more succinctly and in a slightly different way because it's really important. I focus so much on the outcome of my work that it stops me from doing it altogether, and it makes me feel uninspired. I bet you can relate to this in some capacity, even if you're not an entrepreneur like myself. I was on my weekly Emotionally Empowered Journaling workshop yesterday, and one of the women on the call was sharing a little bit about what her season of life is right now. She said that one of her two sons is having a season of his own right now. He's got behavior issues going on, is just really angry, going through a lot, and it's getting worse. And it's really hard on her. And it's becoming really difficult for her to manage as a single parent, especially after an exhausting day at work herself. And on top of that, she's constantly corralling her two sons, making sure they're not breaking something or drawing on something that they shouldn't be or ruining the house that they're living in, instead of enjoying their presence. She feels like she's constantly scolding them and disciplining instead of enjoying them at this young age. So her goal right now is to keep the house tidy and to help her son manage his anger. Ideally, while also regulating her own emotions, because as you can imagine, all of this is very emotional as the mom going through it too. So she's spending all of her time focused on this end goal. I'm listening to a book right now called Do Less by Kate Northrup, and she said one line that immediately broke this cycle of procrastination and struggle and uninspiration. Is that a word? Uninspired? Of just all of it feeling so messy and thrown together and not doing anything, but knowing that you have to do something. And it's just all felt blah and bad. And honestly, it's become a habit. The habit of procrastination due to focusing on the outcome and putting that pressure on myself means that I have to keep repeating this one line over and over. But it truly has changed the game for me. And this one line and the lesson from it isn't what you think. Lots of people suggest to not focus on the outcome. So if that's what you're thinking, you're kind of on the right path. They tell us to focus on the input, focus on what you can control the controllable, right? But that isn't getting us anywhere either, because we know what we have to do. It's on our to-do list. For me, it's the emails, the podcast episodes, the social media content. For you, it might be the work presentation or the research or making sure that there's veggies on your plate at dinner. Focusing on those inputs isn't moving the needle. It's the mindset behind those inputs. In order to get into a flow and remove the resistance and get back to taking inspired action, we need to take ourselves out of the goal, out of the outcome. Here's what I mean. I told you that my desired outcome is getting more awareness for how good you can feel when you journal effectively, getting more sales for my programs, and expanding my reach. When I remove me from that, I'm left with helping you feel good. I'm no longer focused on saying the right thing on my podcast episodes to make a sale. I'm no longer focused on having the right topic to make sure that I have better reach. I'm no longer focused on typing the right things in my emails to make sure people click my link. I'm purely focused on serving you. because that is the goal. I've removed myself and the clicks and the links and the sales and all of that. And that lights me up. Regarding my podcast, that's why I started my podcast in the first place. I literally started this podcast reading out of my journal. Like literal journal entries, not word for word, but like recapping what I was experiencing so that I could help you. And my business has become one where I do want to make an impact so badly, and I want to support myself with this, that it got away from me, and I've been putting so much pressure on myself that I just lost sight of all of that. It almost feels like it's the opposite advice that I should be taking, but removing myself from all of that has been what has helped me so much in getting back to what I want to create and the impact that I want to have. For my client inside Emotionally Empowered, I encouraged her to take herself out of her goal of managing her son's anger and their youthfulness of playing all the time so that nothing would be ruined in the house. So when she did that, she was left with all of the things that her sons were doing and all the things that they wanted to do. With that, I challenged her to then make a list of all those activities that they wanted to do. Really, all the activities that she found herself scolding them for. And see if she could find a way to make it happen for them. Maybe once a week, could she create a safe space where she'd put up a sheet on the wall, for example, and let them use silly string in the house. So by removing the goal of controlling the situation and focusing on the needs and the connection of her kids and with her kids, perhaps this would allow her kids to feel like they weren't always being told no, and it would maybe, hopefully, influence other, better, more positive behavior. Which leads me to my journal prompts for you. I've got 3 for you, and they will all be in the show notes. So go there right after you're done listening, screenshot so you can save them for later. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and rate my show? All right, prompt number 1. Where have you been stuck in your life, and how has it felt? Just some examples. Maybe you've been stuck in your business and it's felt like procrastination, like myself. Or stuck in your home life and it's felt frustrating. Or stuck at your corporate job and it's felt like you're not being seen or heard. Number 2, what is your ideal outcome in this particular situation? Number 3, how can you remove you from that outcome and make it about others? And how would that feel? I'm so curious to hear what you come up with, and I would love to hear it. Feel free to shoot me a message over on Instagram and let me know. I also love the weekly journaling workshops that we have inside Emotionally Empowered, because the way that we run them is by hopping on, and those who want to share unmute themselves and give an update on how they're feeling or any situation that is going on and happening in their lives. Based on that, I create journal prompt flows on the spot to help the group target those emotions and have you leave the call feeling better with action steps for the rest of the week to keep you feeling in that place. We do have a different theme for the month, and we use that for the actual journal prompts that I share throughout the week. This month, it's been about navigating your emotions. And last week in particular, it was about anger. This week, it was about how to resurface emotions that may have been stuffed under the rug for a little while or maybe your entire life. I'm thinking that next month is going to be about relationships, because what came up in yesterday's workshop, the women who joined all shared different situations, except the trend, the common thread throughout was connection. Connection with their spouse, connection with their kids, and connection with yourself. And I think that relationships is going to be a really interesting and powerful thing to journal on. Relationship to yourself, to others, and then also just the dynamic in relationships and how you want your relationships to be. So, yeah. I'm deciding right now, August's theme will be relationships. If you want more information on Emotionally Empowered, click the link in my show notes. My summer sale is currently 70% off your first month with a locked-in rate of 50% off if you choose to stay a member, and you can cancel anytime. I've never ran a sale this good, and it ends July 31st. I really want you to get in and experience this incredible emotional transformation, which is why I am severely discounting it, truly just to help you experience it. Because once you experience it, you will feel so much better. And you will learn the exact tools to be able to journal through any emotion in any situation in the future. So from the beginning, I've always said that I want to teach my clients how to do that so that they don't need me. I will say, so far, nobody has canceled the membership, which is amazing. And I love that. And I love the bonds that are forming in the community. But you can cancel at any time. So for the limited time, go snag it for 70% off. And in the spirit of taking me out of the outcome, I am offering 5 emotional audit calls for free. Inside these calls, we are going to do a few things. Number 1, help you get clear on what you really want based on your season of life. And number 2, identify your biggest blocks keeping you stuck from feeling lighter and more clear and happier and whatever it is that you want to feel. You're going to walk away from this call with me with specific actionable steps and recommendations on how to process your emotions faster so that you don't stay stuck in them. You're able to move through peaks and valleys of your emotions and align with who you want to be. Normally, these calls are $300 for an hour, but I'm offering 5 spots for free. So DM me the word audit over on Instagram at samantha.s.says to book yours. As of the time of recording this podcast, 1 spot has already been taken. So I suppose there's only 4 spots now. So shoot me a message as soon as you can and claim your spot. I literally cannot wait to chat with you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Pretty please leave a review or a rating for my show if you have a free minute. And if you found this helpful, here is to us removing resistance and finding our flow. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's journal entry. I love connecting with my listeners, so make sure you screenshot this episode and tag me on Instagram at samantha.s.says so I know you're listening. And don't forget to grab your free training and journal prompts at www.samanthapenkoff.com/podcast.